Question. What's the last thing the White House staffer said right before he was fired in disgrace? Answer. Hey guys, let's put Joe Biden on a bicycle in public. It'll be great. What could go wrong? And it's that last question that keeps sticking in my craw because I cannot envisage for the life of me how the people who conceived this bike ride from hell, Joe Biden's tour de farce, if you will, actually thought this was a good idea. If the thing had played out as intended, then yeah, it would have made a fairly decent photo op. Joe was supposed to ride up into view, then stop in front of the press corps, and then be like, "Hi, I'm Joe Biden, your physically vigorous president who totally doesn't have one foot in the grave. Could I answer any questions for you today?" But here's the problem with that plan. It relies on Joe Biden being able to do something every 6-year-old can do, namely, stopping a bicycle and getting off it without falling on your ass. This is a man, after all, who has demonstrated the unique ability to fall up a set of airplane stairs, which is to say, if your boss has difficulty just keeping his feet as he is ambulating from one place to the next, sticking him on a bicycle is just about the worst idea in terms of political visuals that anyone has had since they decided to put Mike Dukakis in that Abrams tank. So what did we get in the actual event? You know what we got. We got a perfect microcosm of the Biden presidency, where he tries to do something simple, something any idiot can do, something that is well nigh impossible to screw up, and the old guy winds up flat on his back, staring up at the world, wondering how the pavement got so close so fast. If I'm being honest, the first time I saw this clip, when he's on his way down and you can tell he's about to hit like a ton of bricks, I figured he was just going to turn into dust at the moment of impact. I thought, shit, there's no way he survives this. It'll be like that one Star Trek episode where the evil alien sucks all the moisture out of your body and all that's left of you is a little mound of sand on the floor. But still, I come back around to the first question. Someone who cares about this man actually advised him to operate dangerous machinery in full view of the White House press corps? And yes, given Joe Biden's current mental and physical state, a bicycle absolutely should be considered dangerous machinery for him. And I think we've all seen ample evidence for why. Here's a simple rule going forward for the White House staffers who remain employed. If it's not an object you would find in the recreation room at the average nursing home, it's not something Joe Biden needs to be touching or handling or attempting to operate. Blankets, jigsaw puzzles, cups of lukewarm hot chocolate, VHS tapes of Simon & Simon reruns, all that stuff is fine. Anything more hazardous than that, just don't risk it. Jim Eagle, I want you to hit the music, and then it's time to meet your new little buddy. From high atop the battlements of Castle Curmudgeon, where I am happy to introduce our new friend, Tim Eagle. He's going to live right over here, and I want to remind the audience that unsolicited gifts to the host are very strongly encouraged. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. Welcome to the program. Happy Juneteenth! I'm your eponymous host and humble servant. And I think Juneteenth is a good day to remind ourselves how lucky we are to live in the only country in all of God's creation that has a dedicated national holiday commemorating slavery. If we were going to add another holiday to our calendar, considering the wide variety of things that are worthy of celebration and the many great achievements of our people, we chose slavery. We chose to set aside one day of the year not to call attention to the things that bind us together as a nation and make us capable of feats of greatness unrivaled by any other nation of people, but rather to wallow in the grievance and animus of a different century, to focus on something that can only ever divide us. Now, for 8 years, we had a president who was sort of black, and he never suggested, nor did anyone in his administration suggest, nor did anybody in the Congress suggest, nor did anybody in the news media suggest that we needed to establish a federal holiday for Juneteenth, which is a thing up until 5 minutes ago that nobody outside of South Texas had ever heard of anyway. Now, even I, for as much history as I study, I was only vaguely aware of what Juneteenth was up until last spring, when it seemingly was decreed that we were going to have this new national holiday, and before anybody had a chance to ask any questions about it, it had sailed right through both houses of Congress, and it was a done deal. aided, of course, by a tailwind of cowardly Republicans who are willing to meet any demand if they think not meeting it might result in Joy Reid or Al Sharpton calling them a racist. And maybe I'm just too utilitarian for my own good, but I'm going to ask the following 2 questions anyway. Number 1, isn't it kind of weird to establish a holiday that explicitly commemorates slavery? And number 2, how does establishing such a holiday make us a greater nation or a better people for it? Because I'm pretty sure nobody in this country needs reminding that slavery used to exist or that it was bad. Which brings me back to question number 1. Why are we making a holiday out of something that was a monstrous moral evil? We sure don't have any other holidays that fall under that heading. I mean, on Memorial Day, we do commemorate death and suffering, but it is the death and suffering of men who gave the last full measure of devotion that we might continue to live with the blessings of liberty. But it's not the death and suffering that are the cause for the celebration. The cause for the celebration is that we are such a great nation of people that we consistently produce young men who think nothing of dying a horrible death on some foreign shore so that other people can breathe free and be liberated from tyranny. So that our country can live up to its own stated principles. And it is good and proper that we should set aside such a holiday for such purpose. But I do not see how the moral condition of our people is advanced by the existence of a holiday that is all about slavery. Maybe if some young wokester is hearing this and is willing to educate an old stick in the mud like myself, maybe they would be nice enough to do so down in the comments. As ever, I will listen in good faith and with an open mind. But for right now, I want to move on to something happier. Namely, the fact that the woke Hollywood empire continues to crumble like a sandcastle at high tide and leading the headlong charge into oblivion is none other than America's most beloved child-grooming, freaky gay porn-promoting entertainment brand, Woke Disney. But there's a new Buzz Lightyear movie that's just come out, apparently. Buzz Lightyear is one of the characters from Toy Story, a movie that came out when I think I was about 20, so it's not a picture to which I have any particular nostalgic attachment, but my kids sure did love it. Now, this new Buzz Lightyear picture, it was supposed to be one of this year's summer tent poles. Families they're finally starting to go back to the cinema. Here you got a franchise that should be equally appealing to young parents and young kids alike, so for Disney, this should be a layup. It should be like printing free money. All you got to do is not go completely out of your way intentionally trying to fuck it up. But then again, this is woke Disney that we're talking about. Woke Disney, whose top corporate executives brag about having multiple trans kids at home and extol the virtues of their not-so-secret gay agenda. So show me on the doll where the giant anthropomorphic mouse touched you, little Timmy. And yeah, these are the types of people we have running our children's entertainment brands, and isn't that fun? So, the Buzz Lightyear picture, I guess there's some character in it who has 2 mommies, because of course there is. And since the gay agenda is not so secret, I guess the Disney execs just couldn't resist putting in a bit of hot girl-on-girl tongue wrestling action in this children's cartoon movie, except they almost took it out. They came perilously close to setting aside the sexual ideology and just making a movie for children that doesn't have wall-to-wall references in it about adult sexuality. But to borrow a line from Obi-Wan Kenobi, that was before the dark times. That was before the Don't Say Gay bill. And apparently, I totally am not making this up for comedy purposes, and I've done enough research to be satisfied as to the veracity of the facts. It looks like they reinserted the hot girl-on-girl action into the Buzz Lightyear flick as a conscious reaction to the Florida bill, that monstrous act of bigotry that says you can't talk about gay porn in the kindergarten classroom. Evidently, before the Florida fiasco happened, Bob Chapek had laid down the law over at Pixar. He said, our film studio is not going to be a vehicle for your political agenda. Our film studio is here to make money. So you're going to take the gay shit out of this Buzz Lightyear movie, and there's not going to be any further discussion about it. But alas, that happened during the 5-minute period when it looked like Bob Chapek had a backbone and a set of testicles to speak of, but the subsequent developments have disabused us of any belief in the existence of those 3 anatomical components. So everything up and changed when Florida passed the anti-child grooming bill, where Bob Chapek really screwed the pooch by not understanding the difference between saying you have no comment and signifying your lack of comment by being silent. He chose the former, and in that one act may have caused the implosion of the biggest entertainment brand in world history. Because here's how you do no comment, Bob. You see how that works? When your intent is to not comment, you don't freaking say anything. When you instead issue a statement that says, well, this isn't any of our company's business. We're not the government. We have nothing further to say on this matter. Well, now you went and caused a big old ragegasm amongst all of your sexually non-normative employees who think the purpose of Disney's existence is to be a lifestyle brand for adult homosexuals. So to reiterate, when the best thing to do is saying nothing, and when you understand that fact perfectly well, then just say nothing. Don't issue a goddamn press release that says I have nothing to say because you just made yourself a liar. No comment means no comment. It means not talking. No comment means Helen Keller with a pair of mittens on couldn't talk if she tried. But when Chapek caved to the wokesters, he caved good and long and hard. He didn't just come out against the Florida law. He didn't just donate an 8-figure sum to help in the fight for gay porn in the kindergarten classroom. He called up the Pixar perverts and he said, remember that hot girl-on-girl action I made you take out of the Buzz Lightyear movie? Well, put that shit back in. I want to gay this thing up like a goddamn Liberace concert. I want the gay dripping off of this picture. I want this to be the gayest cartoon since Captain Planet and the Prostate Pounders. The shiltastic entertainment media, the people who get paid major league money to write Bush League level articles about such things, the expert in the field, as it were, they said the Buzz Lightyear flick was going to pull something like $100 million opening weekend. Like as a bare minimum, it was going to pull $100 million. $100 million was the worst case scenario. Some of the expert projections, they were even up in the $120, $150 million range. And what did it get in the actual event? 50. And it's dropping like a manhole cover. It's not like this thing is going to magically grow legs and claw its way back to the break-even point. This is an unmitigated box office bomb. The audiences hate it, and they're not bashful about saying why they hate it. Because they don't want to take their kids to a children's movie and be bombarded with homosexuality. And that is exactly how you build bad word of mouth. By people saying, I took my kids to the Buzz Lightyear movie and all the way home they kept asking me how two mommies can make a baby. So thanks, Disney. I wasn't planning on having that talk with my kids for another 6 or 7 years, but thanks for depriving me of the choice. I really do appreciate it. And Bob Chapek, what goes on in your gigantic bald head, I don't have the faintest idea. You made the right call in the first place. Tell him to take out the gay stuff. Just as you also made the right call in the first place by saying your company takes no position on matters of government legislation. But a few of your underling subordinates get their knickers in a twist and your good judgment just flies out the window? Hey, Bob, let me clue you into a secret here. You get paid $60 million a year to make these decisions, to act in the best financial interests of the company. But you roll over like a bitch, you start reversing correct decisions and replacing them with god-awful stupid decisions just because a couple of purple-haired land whales in the accounting department got butthurt about you not supporting their gay agenda hard enough? Because here's how that conversation goes. I am sorry to hear that you're displeased with the direction of our company under my leadership. Please have your shit collected and be out of the building by close of business today. And meanwhile, back at the shiltastic entertainment media, they are all grasping for straws, trying to figure out what the hell happened. And they are throwing out every single excuse, except the most obvious one, which also happens to be the correct one, which is people don't want to pay good money to take their kids to go watch gay propaganda. And you know what doesn't make them? What doesn't make them? It doesn't make them homophobes. It doesn't make them bigots. It doesn't make them insensitive to the plight of the sexually non-normative. It makes them normal parents. And the Disney company, under the leadership of Bob Chapek, has stated in no uncertain terms that if you're not on board with inculcating leftist sexual politics and social mores into the mind of your very young child, He does not want your business. So you should oblige him by not giving it. And you shouldn't need me or anybody else to tell you that. Not giving your money to people who hate you and hate everything you stand for shouldn't be a difficult choice. It should be a no-brainer. And speaking of no-brainers, President Joe Biden was in a bit of a cranky mood today, as you probably would expect, as you might be too if you had just single-handedly broken the internet and unleashed Memageddon 2022 by getting defeated in quick succession, first by a bicycle and then by the pavement. You know, it's too bad everybody had the day off today, because I just would have loved to hear Baghdad Buckwheat give us the regime-approved version of the events that we witnessed, what actually took place when the leader of the free world failed spectacularly in his attempt to stop a bicycle and place his foot on the ground. I think I've got it. Here's what she should have said. Quote, "Despite what you were hearing from right-wing conspiracy theorists, the president did not fall off his bicycle yesterday. Rather, he was observing the Juneteenth holiday by taking a knee for George Floyd, patron saint of counterfeiters and dudes who pistol whip pregnant women. Furthermore, the president is outraged at any suggestion that his personal observance in the name of racial justice would be misinterpreted as just a feeble old man falling off a bicycle." So this reporter asks the president about the fact that a growing number of economists say that the Biden recession has well and truly begun. It is a perfectly reasonable question, which warrants a thoughtful and serious response, but here's what she got instead. This is a direct quote from the president. "Not the majority of them are saying that. Come on, don't make these things up, okay? You sound like a Republican politician." And I guess this is one of those moments where you can't help wondering just how tenuous the president's grasp of reality actually is. Because the economy is bad, Joe. It's really very, very bad. And your policies made it that way. In fact, things would be a whole hell of a lot worse than they are right now if you didn't have Senators Manchin and Sinema to save you from your own stupidity. If you had succeeded in passing that Build Back Better Act, we already would be living in Weimar Germany right now, pushing wheelbarrows full of near-worthless greenbacks down to the grocery store in hopes that we will be able to afford a loaf of bread. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton says she's not going to run for president in 2024, probably because she knows she's got a better than 50-50 shot of being the president by 2024 anyhow. Which brings me back to this bicycle crash. There was so little upside in having Joe Biden ride a bicycle and so much downside, you can't help wondering if it was intentional sabotage. The beginnings of the palace coup that we know is probably coming sooner than later. So here is a series of bold predictions I'm going to make. Neither Joe Biden's presidency nor Kamala Harris's vice presidency is going to survive the year 2023. For Kamala, I think we'll probably see a resignation announcement before the end of this year. And if Hillary winds up in the number 2 spot, you will know I am not just a Dixie whistling conspiracy theorist. But here's a prediction I will stake my reputation on. The Democrat nominee in 2024 will not be Joe Biden, and it won't be Kamala Harris. And don't be shocked if the matchup is President Hillary Clinton versus challenger Donald Trump. Yeah, I know a lot of people want DeSantis, but DeSantis is still a very, very young man. That dude is 5 years younger than I am. If he doesn't run until 2028 and he wins, he still will be younger than Obama was when taking office. This thing is lined up perfectly for 4 more years of Trump and then 8 years of DeSantis. All the Republicans have to do is not screw it up, which they probably will because they're the Republicans. And screwing up a sure thing is what they do best. And we will leave it there for this evening. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to take care when riding bicycles or operating any sort of dangerous machinery. Have a pleasant tomorrow. I will see you Wednesday. Until next time, do not comply. Get off my lawn.